That's funny.
We're live.
All right.
Let me know when you's ready, and I will roll that beautiful bean footage
Right on.
and get this show on the road. This party started.
You hear that vibration in the other room?
I do not.
Yeah.
I hear my daughter's poster that's not sticking to the wall flapping over here. Is what I.
No, Dana has the bed.
Oh, hey, this is a G-rated show, there, man. I'm gonna stop you right there.
No, our bed has the.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop. When you put a quarter in, and it just.
Yeah, with minus the quarters, it's free. We got the
Is
old
it-
style for me. It's got that.
Is it shaped like a heart?
No, it lifts up and down for me.
Oh God, I'm gonna leave that one alone. Let me know when you are when you're ready.
That's funny, man.
Oh,
But
boy.
I can tell when she does it, so she gets her blood moving. All right,
Yeah. Ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Shut up and sit down.
Boom. What's up, Trinity? Hello, everybody. How you all doing? I'm the street certified dope Dr. Louis Delgado here with you, and this is Dope and Dharma. It's the couch live version of Dope and Dharma here on WOKB 1680 AM in the Central Florida area, and of course on FM it's 100.7 FM here in the Central Florida area. And like I said, my name is Louis, and that's Trinity, the Dharma guy. What's up, brother?
I'm well. I'm a 49ers fan, so I'm extremely happy.
You had to throw that in?
Yes, I did.
All right. Well, I'm a Phillies
NFC,
fan. I'm a
NFC
Phillies
champs
fan.
about to be.
Yeah. What happened to you? Got your Notre Dame hat on, don't you?
No, this is my Key West hat.
Oh, okay. I thought you had a Notre Dame hat on there for a
No,
second.
you know what? I outgrew all my Notre Dame hats. Actually, they're all like fitted. And I outgrew them.
They didn't outgrow you.
No.
So, but that's okay. I'm already on to baseball season, obviously, because we're no longer playing. The Steelers are no longer in it. So, it's time for baseball again. Bring it on. Bring on spring training. Here we go. But, yeah, you're having a good look, man. In all honesty, you guys are doing fantastic. The likelihood of you guys going to the Super Bowl and winning it all is really, really high right now. If I was a betting man, that's what I would bet on. But I'm not a gambler, Trinity. Not a gambler. I prefer a hater. So,
well, it's a good
I'm
thing.
A doubter. I'm a doubter of you.
Because full disclosure for those of you who don't follow us on social media, I am 9-1 in this year's playoffs, and the only game I lost was the one game I wasn't sure about, and that was the Bills and the Chiefs. So I'll take that L. That's fine. 9-1, and Louis, what is your record?
1-9.
That's terrible.
But mine's a want. Those weren't picks like the gamble. Those are wants.
No, you know what? You did great trying to pick the losers, man. I think that's what it was.
I picked everything that I wanted, but apparently I'm not allowed to have nice things this year. So it was everything that I wanted. You know what I mean? It was, and apparently what I want is not what's supposed to happen. And you know what? Going with that theme, Trinity, that's the way life could be sometimes. You don't always get what you want. You know, you get what you need. And maybe what I needed was a different outcome. And so we have Ed Walls on Facebook Live already saying our Steelers were no shows. They were, Ed. Yeah, they were. There were no shows. But I'm so optimistic for next year. But that's the other show, man. That's when we're talking sports. If you want to watch that, you could follow. Tell them how they can follow us on Dope and Dharma, and they can watch one of the sports shows, and we can talk about it.
Yeah. You can check us out, Dope and Dharma, on YouTube Live, Facebook, and Instagram. And you can follow us personally. He's at the Dope Doctor. I am at the Dharma Guy. We post all of our shenanigans on social media.
Right. So, yeah, that's what it was. It was Steelers were no shows. That's right. And then you guys have been showing up. That's what it makes it hard to go for the Ravens. I don't want Ravens to win. I don't want you to win either. So I'm going to have to go Detroit all the way. Detroit all the way now.
Niners all the way, baby.
Lions. I got to go for Lions because
it's going to be our year. I can feel. Right. I believe it's going to be our year.
All right. Well, let's do that transition, Trinity, because believe is the topic of the day. And do you know why that is, Trinity? Why I wanted to talk about believe today?
Because it's usually associated with holidays and not with recovery.
Right. Well, it's associated with Christmas.
Guess. Yeah. Good guess, wasn't it?
Christmas specifically, right? You got to believe. You got to believe in Santa, and in faith, you got to believe in God, and then in football, the Bills took it over. And then you got to believe, you got to believe that, the Bills are going to make it all the way. Well, you know what? In recovery, you got to believe too. And a lot of people don't, Trinity, unfortunately. addiction has a way of just kicking you in the teeth really hard, right? It has a way of beating you down. Mental health in general, not just addiction, but any kind of mental health issue, depression, anxiety. For those of you out there going through a divorce, going through a breakup, going through job insecurity, home insecurity, food insecurity, whatever it is, it's very difficult to get positive minded or to hear anyone kind of giving you positive words when you don't currently believe. Here's what you believe. You believe that everybody needs to just leave you alone. You believe that life sucks. You believe nobody cares. What you tend to put focus on and belief into are very negative ways of thinking. And instead of believing, no, wait a minute. First of all, healing happens. Recovery is possible. And not only can you have it and achieve it, you will, should you just take some of the feedback that's being given, look within yourself, and just follow a few little steps of action behind it. And don't ever, ever, ever give up. So that's kind of the theme I wanted to talk about today, Trinity, about the belief and how powerful believing is. I mean, you're a spiritual advisor to people. Let's kick it off with some of that. Spiritually, when I say the word belief, how important is that when you're dealing with a client and you're speaking with someone and helping them through some things?
I think the way I approach the belief thing is it kind of, for whatever reason, oftentimes the positive is just as likely to happen, but we tend to focus on the negative stuff because it's easier, right? Like it's easier to focus on the negative,
right?
Because it hurts, right? Like it hurts when you get excited about something, you get fired up, and you look forward to it, and you plan all the stuff around it, and then if something happens and it causes that not to come to fruition, it stings, man. It hurts, and people don't want to feel that. And for some reason, we've conned ourselves into truly thinking that if I just think the bad, when the bad comes, it's going to hurt less. But in all actuality, it hurts the same. You just didn't get the pleasure of dreaming, right? Like, because the not happening still hurts. Whether you thought it was going to, or whether you thought it was not going to, it still hurts.
Right.
But at least in this side, if you dreamed it, you at least had those moments of hope and you had those moments of dreaming. At least over here, you didn't get that, but you got all the bad. So it's like we convince ourselves that for whatever reason, that if we just don't believe in it or whatever, it's going to hurt less. And it doesn't. It hurts the same. It hurts more.
And you just extend the days of failure. Like you extend the days, like, because so even before the end result is there, you're already existing like you lost, like you failed. So you're living in the same emotion as if it's gone. As if it's not possible. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people say, I'm just being real. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
It's like,
you know what it reminds me of though? It actually reminds me of God. There was I had one of my like Dharma dailies, or I don't even remember if that's what it was called, but when I would post like phrases or something like that.
Yeah.
One time I posted a thing, and I don't remember the verbatim like what it said, but it was essentially saying, "Let it go," right? Just let things go. And then somebody posted a comment, and they said, "I wish it was that easy." And I said. And my response to that was, well, it is that easy. Mm-hmm. I was like, because not, and their response to that was basically saying, well, it's hard or whatever. I was like, yeah, but pick your hard. Because I would think holding on to it is hard too, isn't it? Like, isn't it hard to live with whatever that was and hold on to it? So it's like, you're going to pick your hard, right? Like, it's either hard to hold on to it or it's hard to let go of it. So for me, if they're both hard, well, then let me look at the benefits, and what's the benefits of holding on to it? There really isn't. The benefit of let go of it is you free yourself of that. So in this case, the belief, it might be hard to believe, but it's also hard to live a life with no belief.
100%.
So pick your heart, man. And for me, I like the benefit of excitement. I like the benefit of hope.
We've talked about it on this show. I used to think it was easier just to stay the same, be the knucklehead that I was, commit the crime, get high, do whatever. And No, because I remember when I was going from hotel to hotel and running and hiding and, disguising and using fake names and aliases. That was hard. But like you said, both can be hard or both can be easy. Well, if you practice the negative, it becomes easier because you practiced it. So if you're out there and you think, oh, no, see, it's not that easy. Well, you've made the negative easy because you've practiced it so much. You've practiced and embraced it and focused on it and put a lot of attention on the failure part, on the part where you weren't successful. And so when you put so much attention on that, that's why it feels easier.
Even then, I would argue
it feels second nature. No,
yeah.
It's 100% not easier. It's definitely, it feels it. It's a perception thing.
Yeah.
But you forget that you practice that. You actually manifest it, you practice it, you think about it. Matter of fact, you see it before it comes. How many times have you heard somebody say, dude, I knew I was going to get arrested. I knew that it was going to be a problem. Like there's people that'll act like they knew that it was going to be a bad day. Well, if you start off that way, how do you know you didn't create it?
Right.
And I'm not saying all the time. I'm not one of them foo people that believe, you can manifest everything. But I do believe there's a power to positive thinking, and I'd rather focus on that. I'd rather take more control of it than say I have zero control of it. I'm a human. I like to control things. It's part of being human. But I also know when to let go, and when to let go is I'm going to do the next right thing, and however it ends up, at least I know I put forth the best effort. So I give myself the best opportunity just in case luck is a thing, just in case accident is a thing, or just in case my effort is a thing. Whatever it is, I put myself in that position. Because if you don't even get up and get out of your chair, you're not even in position. Right?
Right.
It's like, look, we were talking about football, right? Some people look at those interceptions that were tips like they're not real interceptions. No, they're real interceptions. They may not be 100% on the quarterback, but they're real interceptions. And you know why that guy got that interception? Because they put themselves in a position to be within a few feet of that play. And when they put themselves within a few feet of that play and it got tipped up, it's Oski. They went for it. They put themselves in that position. So you have to give them credit for that. It's still an interception. It's not like, oh, here's interceptions that you actually caught without being tipped, and then here's the ones that, of course, you got it. It was tipped up. Doesn't work that way. Not in life and not in anything.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that there is something to be said with manifestation, right? But I wouldn't personally subscribe to it on a metaphysical level, like where you just think it and it happens. I personally don't subscribe to that.
Right.
The way I subscribe to manifestation, if you will, is if you have something set in your mind that, like when my son tells me, oh, it's going to be a bad day, I tell him you're right.
Yep.
In that sense, he's going to manifest it. That doesn't mean that anything is going to happen differently today than it would have had he said it's going to be a great day.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to happen the same. What the difference is his perspective. He's going to look at it from a negative sense. So therefore, everything that happens, he's going to instantly find the negative in it. And so that way he can reinforce his own belief that it's going to be a bad day. And I'll see, I told you, blah, blah, blah. Even though the exact same thing could have happened, but if you had said it's going to be a great day, then you'll have a different perspective on it.
Right.
So in other words, it's, the exact same thing happens. The only difference is the perspective on it. And so, same thing with belief, right? Like if you believe, we'll use the sobriety example. If you believe that 30 years of sobriety is a possible thing, then you're going to approach each situation with this little carrot out there and make decisions as if that carrot exists, and you're more likely to get to it. Whereas if you think it's not, well, then the first opportunity that you get to go against your sobriety, you're going to, because you're already assuming it's going to fail anyways. So it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of way. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think some metaphysical, manifestations just happens like you just sit in your bed and think about it. I just think that the brain is such a powerful thing. Like it's incredibly powerful. And like, I mean, there's people who have nothing wrong with them, but will actually fail tests as far as if they're sick. They'll show us, because in their mind, they think that they're sick. So it's like, well, are you really sick or not? Right? Like you don't test as sick, but you're shown the symptomology of sick. So, I mean, if you believe you're sick and you act like you're sick and you got the symptoms, well, then you're sick.
Right.
Right. And so same thing with the mind. Like if you believe it can't be done, then you're right. You're gonna subconsciously make sure that you do everything you can to end up right.
Right.
And so for me, I think that's where belief comes in.
You got to see the path. You got to see the path forward, man. You know,
Yeah.
like we're in a political season right now, right? So people say, you know, why did this candidate drop out, or why? Because they didn't see a path forward. And if a candidate can't see a path to victory, they have to make decisions.
Sure.
You know, and we're all in that situation all day long, right? Where if we don't see a path to getting what we want, sometimes we quit. And I guess what I'm saying is just look at those of us that have been able to be fortunate enough to be sober, whether it be one day or whether it be 365 or whether it be years. What makes anyone different than you? What have you heard our stories? Have you seen us? We're not smarter. We're not wiser. We're not anything different than you, other than we have what you want. But you gotta, when you see somebody that has something you want, don't ask yourself, how can I take that from that person? You ask yourself, what is it I can do similarly to obtain that same outcome? Because that's the outcome I want. But some of us, we get stuck in jealousy, we get stuck in hate, we get stuck in blaming, we get stuck in feeling that somehow that person has some sort of advantage over me, which is why they have it and I don't. Somehow that person has some circumstances that I don't have, therefore that's why they have it and that's why I don't. Some of us like to blame some of our own personal circumstances, but who doesn't have that kind of story, Trinity? Who doesn't have a story of, oh, but look at my mom, look at my dad, look at my family, look at my money, look at my color, look at my race, look at my height, look at my sex, look at my this, look at my that. We all can say that about something. About something. So if you get stuck in looking at some sort of reason why you don't have it, then what you're not doing is you're not putting any attention on your personal effort, and that's all you can do, really. That's really all this is about today. Is just, look, I know it's difficult to put something down, especially when it creates so much comfort for you, especially if you've been drinking your whole life, and no matter how much negative has come with the drinking has also been that friend. Like we all have that friend, right? They're real good. Yeah, I know he's a liar, but he's a good friend. Yeah, I know he's a thief, but yeah, he's a good friend. Yeah, I know he doesn't treat all women that great, but he's my good friend. You know, you don't know him like I do. Like we all have that friend that we hold on to, even though he's really not friend worthy.
Is that why I'm not invited to the house parties anymore?
You know,
you could have told me off air, bro. Like,
yeah, well, I choose to do it on the air, Trinity.
Accountability, man.
Yeah, that's right. But you know, we all know that person, right?
Yeah.
But yet we continue to invite them over and be close to them instead of just understanding, look, this person's just not good for me. It's toxic. Well, sometimes we're we're our own toxic friend, right? We're our own person that's not being good to us, and we need to be honest with ourselves about what's not working. What is it that's not personally working? But before you can even get there, you just have to believe that you deserve what's up there. Like, have you've been noticing the posts that Daryl's been posting lately?
I have not.
You know, he's been doing a lot of reflection, and you know, and God bless him, man. You know, he's doing a lot of reflection because the Mets have finally decided to retire his number. Right?
I did see that.
You're right. So because they've decided to retire his number, and he's been going through this spiritual journey for years now, you could just see even within his preaching and within his posts that he's reflecting a lot. And he's very grateful to those that have been there within that path, because it's not an easy path. Everybody loved him when he's playing baseball. Everybody loved it. Even when he was screwing up, people loved it. Doesn't matter. As long as you're hitting home runs, as long as you're famous, as long as you distract other people for their own miserable lives, and you can look at him and go, ah, ha, 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 and laugh at him, he's entertaining. But as soon as he went out there and started being like, Jesus, God, all of a sudden, you know, where'd everybody go? All of a sudden, there weren't a lot of people as equally around. First of all, they doubted that he was even going to make it. They doubted that he was being truthful and honest because he had been such a liar, because he had been such a person of vanity and abuse and excess.
Right.
He went through a lot with that, man. And so it's beautiful to start seeing his following numbers go up, to see his videos now getting more attention, to see him getting more acceptance within all the communities about who he is today, because that's who he wants to be. That's what he is. He's a man of faith today. So I look at someone like that and say, wow, man, you know, he may have had a beautiful vehicle that he used to get notoriety or gave him notoriety, but he doesn't rely on that, man. That man is out there every day in a different city, different town, preaching at a different church, because that's what he believes. And he believes that, look, of all the things out there that existed to try to help me not be the liar, the cheater, the abusive man that I was, I found all of that beauty in my faith. I found all of that healing within my faith. And so that's where I'm going to put all my attention. I mean, if that guy can get it, who can't? Who can't? Yeah. I don't turn on the TV and see every show making fun of me. I didn't turn on I didn't have every ESPN announcer predicting my death and downfall and saying, oh, what an idiot. Look, he threw everything away. Can you imagine seeing that kind of negativity? Some of us are out here complaining just because a co-worker said something, or a boss doesn't appreciate me, or my ex-wife said that. This dude had the whole world was saying stuff. And there's a lot of people like that, not just Daryl. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
And yet he believed enough in himself, and now he's sharing that belief with other people. And it's things like that, Trinity, that it makes me think about this topic today, about all that belief. Sure. I see we had some people chime in with it. They're chiming in about a couple of things, right? I see at least one comment about my hat, right? Because I see Richard Coleman up there in what is he, in the Carolinas?
Yep.
Why can't I show it?
I don't know.
It's not clicking for me. Trinity, can you show that? There you
go.
You just put it up there. Go Braves. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
And then Leo says Chiefs
Braves
Kingdom.
don't need my help. Right. You got Chiefs Kingdom. Leo says Chiefs Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think so. While you were talking, another thing that popped in my head, a couple things popped in my head. It started out with I think I saw a couple days ago a Nick Saban quote that says, "You can feel the pain of success or the pain of failure."
Right.
And meaning, to be successful, there's pain, there's sacrifices that have to be made, there's due diligence, there's hard work. There's things that you're going to have to do. And then if you don't do any of that, then you're going to have to deal with the pain of saying, hey, I'm not where I think I should be. And so when I hear belief, another thing that just kind of what I tend to focus on now, because I heard it so much especially in the groups in the addiction world.
Right.
And then I also hear it like with my own kids sometimes, some of their friends, acquaintances I've had over the years. The thing that I think that a lot of people really do struggle with, and there's probably various reasons for it, but the end result is the same, and that is they don't believe the path. Right? Like they don't believe that if this, then this.
Right.
They come up with all these excuses and all these reasons, and it's fear, right? Like it's this fear that somehow I'm not enough, or somehow they don't believe the path. Like work the program, basically, in the addiction world.
Right.
It sounds so painfully simple, right? And the same thing with spirituality, right? When people talk to me about the Buddhist philosophy, I tell them it's simple, but it's not easy, because it is simple. There's no first of all, the Buddhist philosophy to me is not a religion, and anybody can practice it, right? It's some basic common sense stuff. Right. And I can't tell you how many people over the years I've talked to that were expecting some crazy, mystical, soothsayer type of thing. And when I break it down from oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's simple. It's like, yeah, it is simple, but it's not easy. It's not easy to walk that path, right? And so I think that too many people don't trust the process. They don't trust that if I just put one foot in front of the other, I will eventually get to my destination.
Yes.
They just don't.
Yes.
For whatever reason, and like I said, there's a multitude of reasons, and we all have our own, individual stories, but none of it changes the path. The path is always there. Right. No matter how, if I'm driving in the car and I got my headlights on, I can't see the rest of the street, but I'm trusting that path is still there.
Right.
Doesn't matter. The rain is coming down, the sleet and everything. I'm still driving forward because I'm pretty sure it's, if I keep going, I'm going to end up there.
Right.
But in life, we don't do that. And I think, that's part of the problem is we have to trust the process. We have to trust. And it's hard, right? There's a lot of obstacles. And that's the thing is what I've noticed as I've gotten older is the obstacles will change. Some of them will be amazing and hard to overcome. Some of them will be simple and they'll change year to year based upon your situation and who you're around and what your goal might be. But the path never changes. The older I get, the more I realize the path is exactly the same path it's been my entire life, man.
Right.
Put in some hard work and some effort, make some good decisions, choose the future you over the present, whatever it is it's in front of you. Like, it's the same. No matter what issue I've ever had in my life, the path has always remained the same, no matter what my problems were around it. And,
Right.
and it took me some age and some wisdom to finally get to the point where I could see the path clearly and start to walk it. That doesn't mean it's easy. I mean, but once again, the pain of failure, the pain of success.
Right.
Like it is hard to make good decisions daily. It's hard to think of the future self. It's hard to make the next right decision. It's hard, man. Everything inside of me wants to take the bad decisions sometimes, man. It's easier just to sit around and do nothing. It's easier to not engage or to whatever it might be. Like it's so much easier in the moment to do that. But the results are so much harder to deal with. The drain on you emotionally, the self-loathing, all the stuff that comes with that is so much harder to deal with. And so, yeah, I think that we have a hard time believing the path, even though it's been there.
It's just so easy not to change,
Yeah.
because we're used to that effort. That the effort of not changing is something we're accustomed to, right? And I'm glad you said trust the process, because that is 100% what you have to do.
Yeah.
But when you've lied to yourself so much, Trinity, I mean, how can I trust me when I've failed me so many times? I've lied to myself. I know what a liar I've been. I know what kind of person I've been. So of course I think everybody's lying. Of course I think nobody's telling me the truth. Of course I think nobody cares, because I don't care. If I don't care about you, how can I possibly believe that you care about me? If you have your hand out and you're saying, listen, man, I want to help you through this, man. I can help you with this. Well, if I say that, but I don't really mean it, how can I believe you really mean it? Or if I've trusted somebody and they used it against me and they abused me and they hurt me, and it was somebody important to me, like a father figure, a mother figure, an uncle, a coach, someone that I okay, I trust you, and then they lied to me, or they hurt me, or they backstabbed me in a very serious way, it's hard to trust again. We constantly measure the next person by what the last person did. But can you say, have I always been true? Have I always been an honest person? Have I always been exactly the same? I know some of you out there say, yes, I always tell the truth. I'm always good. Whatever. Most of us, we haven't always been. But we want a second chance. I mean, maybe I haven't asked for it specifically like that. I can't recall a time actually going, hey, can you give me a second chance? But I thought about it. I really did want it. I wanted a chance to begin again. Every city I moved to in those early years, I wanted to change my identity completely. I always thought this is a new beginning. I tried that geographical change, right? That they say doesn't work. I've tried that, because I wanted the geographical change to allow me to go to a new town, new city, a new beginning where nobody knew who I was, how I was, so they wouldn't use it against me. I tried that. But I followed myself. And so I found myself constantly, when I'd come home from the city that didn't know me, when I'd come back home to the bed, guess who knew me? Me. I knew me. And so I would doubt this person. I would doubt that person. I had all these thoughts and feelings and emotions and stuff I wasn't used to, because now I'm not medicating myself. And when you're no longer medicating yourself, you start having thoughts and feelings that you've never experienced before. So it's very, very difficult, because it's like learning to walk again. You know what I mean? It's like when I got the surgery and I had to learn how to walk again and learn how to get balance again. That was difficult, but there was no way in my head I was thinking, okay, it's hard, so I guess I'm not going to walk again. I guess I'm just going to sit down and lay down and not move again. No, because there was activities that I'd like to engage in again. And I knew that in order to engage in those activities, the brother had to move. So I had to move, right? Whereas when it came to things like the strangulation that addiction had over me, or self-doubt had over me, or insecurity had over me, it was real easy to want to sit back and not fight at all. You know, I posted this past week that I will overcome thing. You know, it was Martin Luther King Day, and I know typically when we think of someone like Martin Luther King, unfortunately, we like to put him in a color box. And what I mean by that is, there's people that just look at him, it's just about slavery, because that's what he talked about, right? He was talking about freedom. He was talking about, we shall overcome. I may not get there with you, blah, 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 right? And we try to put him in just that little box, but I don't look at Martin Luther King that way, because as a kid, that's not how it resonated to me. I'm a Latino. So if I required a Latino to give me all my life lessons, then I'm missing out on a lot of great leaders that aren't Latino, right? Like, if I'm going to be one of these people that says, if it doesn't look like me, sound like me, then I can't relate. No, because I had so few Latino teachers. Most of you out there don't speak to me in Spanish, so I had to learn English and do it in the English way. I had to live in this world, right? Not my world, not the world I go home to where my parents are speaking Spanish. My family, they're speaking Spanish. So much had to adapt and change. So I take a leader like a Martin Luther King, and to me, the way it resonated to me was when he said, "I will overcome." For some reason, that one little sentence, Trinity, that one little sentence meant so much to me. It just meant so much to me. And I can't explain why that, of all the leaders out there, of all the things have been said, and I'm sure Chico and the Man said something important too. I'm sure Cheech from Cheech and Chong said something important too. But when Martin Luther King said it, "I will overcome," I took it very seriously. And I wrote that on my shoe. And Trinity, I don't write on my shoes. I don't write on my clothing. I don't damage my property like that. You know what I mean? I don't even write on my skin, Trinity. I don't even have a tattoo. I don't even write on my skin. And I wrote, "I will overcome" on the side, on the white part, of the sole. So, because I sit with my legs crossed. And so it was always right there. I will overcome. And it meant something to me because I wanted to overcome it. I wanted to overcome that despair that I was feeling, that pain I was feeling, that anxiety I was feeling, the hate towards everyone. Trinity, I hated everyone, but I hated everyone because I hated me. I mean, I wouldn't have said that out loud. I told everybody I hated them. I hated people. And I believed it. But when I can reflect on it now, and I'm a lot more mature these days, and I can be more honest these days, and I'm a lot less fearful of vulnerability these days, I can say, no, I really hated me. I hated the box that I put myself in. And I hated how I constantly failed myself. I had so much promise. You have so much potential. And for some reason, I couldn't keep it. I'd always screw it up. I'd always sabotage it for whatever reason. And so I put that on my shoe, and it meant something to me. And that's why it's got me feeling and thinking the way I'm thinking right now. And I'm sorry if someone looks at me taking Martin Luther King and as a Latino relating it to my addiction. I'm sorry if that offends you. I'm not saying it in an offensive way. And if you're easily offended by that, I recommend that you get a therapist and process through that, because you're making it about you. And I'm telling you something about me. And so how can that be wrong? We're talking about me. I'm not talking about you. I'm telling you how someone great said something very impactful and something meaningful. And I think it breaks color barriers. It breaks racial barriers. It breaks even intent. There's a lot of good things that people have said, and we've taken what they've said and we created it for our own intent and our own purposes. And that's what you're supposed to do. So when I say believe, guess what? Santa Claus doesn't own that word. Santa Claus doesn't own the word believe. You can't say, "Oh, you said the word belief. That's a Santa thing. You're a misappropriation of Santa Claus." No, man. What? I'm saying believe because I'm asking you to believe in yourself, because you don't believe in the Tooth Fairy. You don't believe in Santa Claus. You don't believe in the Easter Bunny. And guess what? You don't believe in a sober, healthier you. You don't believe in a happier, successful you. Just as much as you don't believe in those things. And when you start believing in something greater than yourself, and when you start believing, regardless of what you think proof has been, because I will make the argument that the proof has been around you the whole time, but you've been fighting it. You've been fighting it. It does me no harm to believe in Santa Claus, Trinity. None. None.
Yeah.
Think about it. It does me no harm. So what? I didn't get a quarter under my pillow, from the Tooth Fairy, It does me no harm to believe in the Tooth Fairy. But more importantly, it does me no harm to believe in a power greater than myself, and that power greater than myself didn't have a creative process going on that says, I'm going to create this one person and make that person be a failure and make that person be, underdone, undercooked in the mental capacity to succeed, undercooked emotionally to be able to handle problems. Would you ever believe, Trinity, that anything that could have created you would have made you for the purpose of failure?
Never really thought of it, I guess, but no.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
The only possibility is with creation comes process and progress. Those are the things that come with creation. When you create something, you create it to function. You don't create something for dysfunction. So it doesn't matter who and what created us. It doesn't matter what purpose it created. We just know that the purpose wasn't dysfunction. It wasn't hate. It wasn't damage. It was survival of the species. And if survival of the species is a true thing, and I believe that it is, then how is me sitting alone in a hotel room, feeling sorry for myself, hiding from the law, continuing the species? It's not. It wouldn't even continue in my own life. Go.
Yeah. I mean, there was something you said a while back that I wanted to touch on that I felt compelled to put out there. We've obviously covered it before, especially I think on Dharma Time. We did a whole episode towards it, but bears repeating. You said something about people letting you down, or like looking into something and they let you down, or disappointed you, broke trust.
I lied to me more than anybody else. Yeah,
that was what I was going to get at. Was just I wanted to reiterate that. Yeah. These other people who you claim to have hurt you, not you individual, but the proverbial you, if you're listening to this right now, if you stop back and you try to say, well, this person let me down, they hurt me or whatever, I would argue, obviously each individual case we can go through, but generally speaking, you hurt yourself with your expectations. It wasn't, that we have this weird notion, and we're all guilty of it to some extent. We don't think about it in these terms, but I'm going to break it down to is what it's actually saying. We seem to think that people's existence on life is to live up to what we think that they should have said or done or thought. Like, hey, I trusted you to do such and such and you didn't. You let me down. Well, their existence on life wasn't to earn your trust. They have their own life that they're living. They have their own insecurities. They have their own failures. They have their own whatever. You're supposed to love them where they're at. And where they're at on their journey. And so they didn't disappoint you. You disappointed yourself by expecting that you knew the outcome already. I'm not saying that we can't find things, displeasurable. There's plenty of things in my life that I would prefer for different. But this notion that, well, it should be this or it ought to be this or you should have done, says who? Like, we have to get that kind of concept out of our head. That's what's causing a lot of your suffering, a lot of your problems. Like life itself or that person in your life, their whole purpose in life isn't to do what you think they should do. Like, you don't control that. You don't have the roadmap. So we have to get over that concept. And that, to me, I think interferes with the belief, because you want it on your terms the way you think it should go. And if it doesn't, then, well, you got let down and I don't believe, what's the point? It's not going to work out the way. Stop. You're not driving the car, man. You're the passenger. That is a lesson that I try to get across to a lot of people, man, is this notion of the way things ought to be. If you get so focused on the way things ought to be, you won't see how they are. And I think that interferes with the belief, because, oftentimes people, like somebody will come to me and they'll complain because I don't know, their life isn't going the way they think it should, right? And somebody upset them at their job or whatever, like little annoyance in the day that just didn't go the way they thought it should go. Now, I'm not talking about anything major, like their daughter didn't die today or something, like just minute things that we find ourselves really upset and irritated about. We start to focus on it and think our whole day sucked. But yet you'll come home to like a loving family. You'll come home to a roof over your head, turn on your Wi-Fi and your TV and eat dinner. For some people, that's a pretty good life, right? Like, you're not really struggling for things. You appreciate what you have. And so this notion that well, I'm not going to believe because it didn't work out the way I wanted it to, like, stop. Stop, because you can always nitpick things.
Right.
And I think that also interferes with the belief, because if it doesn't turn out the way we think it should, then somehow it didn't work or we don't believe in it.
Right.
Like,
and
like, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go.
I was just like, in sobriety, for example, I've known you for a long time, and you've never been to an AA meeting that I've seen, or an NA meeting, right? Like, I'm sure you were many years ago before I ever met you. But I talked to a lot of people, especially back in the day at Tropical, who knew you, and they would always say, well, Louis doesn't go to meetings and stuff, whatever, right? And I was like, but that's him. And he's also been around for 30 years. Like, that's not what your path is going to look like. Stop trying to bend it to make it look the way you want it to look. Just follow the path, believe in this case, right? But because it didn't look the way they wanted to look, they thought that they can control what their path looks like. Stop.
Right.
Stop.
Right. I'm also not a churchgoer every Sunday, but I say amen and I pray and I do all that stuff. I mean, listen, people, when we're talking about belief in this, I mean, you just got to believe that you just got to know that what you're doing right now may not be working. You know what I mean? It's easier to look around your situation and be like, are you exactly where you want to be right now? I mean, I think most of us can always find something to improve, right? I mean, I've been in some of the cleanest houses on earth. Mine's not one of them, but I've been in some of the cleanest houses on earth that look like my parents' house is like a museum, right? And
do they have the plastic on the couch?
No, but if I would say something like, I got to go home and clean, they'll say, oh yeah, us too. This place is a mess. And I'm looking around going, our definition of messes are clearly very different. What I'm saying is you got to understand that your lens is your lens, and that may not be the way I see it. So if that's true, if we can both see the same thing and see it differently, that means you can also learn to see your situation differently. Are you comfortable with the way you're currently seeing your situation? Do you like the emotion that you get out of viewing yourself the way you're viewing it? Is it working for you? Like if you find yourself blaming others and feeling like a victim and feeling like I can't talk the way you're talking around my boys, like they would laugh at me. I can't be all that serious. I got to just joke around. And yeah, me too. That's why I healed away from them. So now I can call them and joke like that, but we don't talk emotionally deep with those dudes. That wasn't their purpose in my life. But I still love them. I still care for them, and they still care for me. But we're not there to help each other heal. We were there for whatever reason, and it was good for what it was good for. But it wasn't for that. And I would strongly suggest that if you're in one of those places, because you said something real important. You said, if you look around, you got a place to sleep, you got food and all that stuff. Well, there might be somebody out there saying, why don't? And you know what? If you don't, the Salvation Army has a home for you.
And you're still alive to acknowledge that.
Yeah. So you can, you may choose not to go and knock on the door of the Salvation Army and ask for a place to stay. But that's a choice you're making because they have a home for you. You can go there and they're very accepting and they're open for you. And you just have to, follow some simple rules. That's it. They even have jobs that you can do should you want to work, should you want to contribute. I mean, there's so many places like that. I'm not just trying to single out one. I just know that one is available, but there's a lot of stuff out there like that. But here's what I do know. If you don't change anything, then nothing changes, right? We all know those simple little proverbs, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes, right? Stop doing the same thing, expecting different results. We've heard all these things.
Yeah.
The corny sentences, the corny things work though. The corny things work. All the cool things get you locked up. That's where all the cool kids are.
Yeah.
They're locked up. Because that's what being cool does. And being corny and geeky and nerdy gets you owning and running multi-million-dollar companies. Clearly. Like we see it. We see it. And yet instead of like saying, oh, I got to look at how to mimic that, we're like, nah, I'm going to stay doing what criminals do. I like that outcome better. Feels better. Okay. All right, you go ahead and enjoy that. But if you want to believe in yourself and you want to do different, 833 Now Matters, that's a good start. 833 Now Matters, or go to nowmattersmore.org. We got a golf tournament coming up April 29th, people. April 29th, where our good friend Daryl and many others, Chucky Atkins will come back out. Dante Culpepper is going to join us this year. Going to go golf with us. So 429. Going to be at Red Tail Country Club, Golf Club. Go to nowgolftournament.org. That's nowgolftournament.org, and go ahead and register. And Trinity, any final words before we sign out?
Yeah, man. Just belief is an important thing, no matter how you use it. So if you believe you can, you can. If you believe you can't, you can't.
I know. Well, you said it best. So now we just got to kick it back to WOKB. Remember, we're on 1680 WOKB AM right here in the Central Florida area, and of course 100.7 FM on that particular dial, Trinity. But so now we got to kick it back to Shaw. Shaw, you take it away. Adios, amigos. It's time for a taco. Goodbye.